You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis. Join Steve and his guests every week as he staggers from Georgia to Maine.
Hey guys, we're back again. This is episode number 515 of the Mighty Blue podcast, and I am Mighty Blue. It's been a great week as I try to stay on track with my preparations for my upcoming AT thru hike next year, and I'm leaning into the process. I've made progress in both my physical preparation and my gear preparation. I'll be sharing that after our main guest today. And our main guest is a recently minted thru hiker once more. Let's face it, this is the time to be catching new thru hikers while they're still in the afterglow, so to speak. And today we're going to be meeting Jennifer Cole, or Indy 5, a stay-at-home mum for years who wanted to do something for herself and conjured up this great adventure. I was cracking up talking with her in our pre-recording conversation, and you're going to hear why in a moment. She's a very practical, unfazed woman who's simply got it done. Just before we meet her, though, I wanted to let you know that in our monthly Zoom call for Buy Me a Coffee members, I brought up a bunch of suggestions to add segments to the show, suggested by my friend Emily of Emily's Escapades. We discussed most of the ideas, and I hope to be incorporating some of them into the show in the next few months before I head out on trail next March. And talking about that, by the way, I've registered my start date at Amicalola as March the 10th, so I feel kind of locked in and happy to have committed to that. If you're interested in joining our meetings and directing the way in which the podcast goes, you can sign up for a membership at buymeacoffee.com/mightyblue. So now, let's turn to our main guest, Jennifer Cole, or Indy 5, who turns out to be a very tolerant woman, as you'll hear. We had a lot of problems with her internet and laptop, so we ended up recording over the phone. Fortunately, it didn't work out too bad, but apologies if it interferes with your enjoyment. Here's Jennifer. Today, we've got a previous Woods Hole weekend attendee and now a successful thru hiker from this year, 2025. This is Jennifer Cole, or Indy 5. Hey, Jennifer, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hi.
Well, how do you feel first? I mean, you've been out there in the woods for some time. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I've been home a month now, and seems like a long time ago already, but I've been writing a timeline just to have, and it's making me relive it and feel it and think about it, and so, which I like doing.
Are you missing it?
Yeah, I am. I think I'm kind of missing it more than I thought. It's with a little bit more time, about a month since I've been home, I'm thinking, wow, even more so taking a step back and realizing what an amazing, extraordinary experience that was. Sometimes you don't see it at the time, but I'm really noticing it. Yeah, and thinking about it.
I think the more distance you have from the trail, the more you are going to miss it as well. I'm going back for the third one. So, I said I would never ever hike again, but there you go. So who knows? And now you made the eminently sensible decision to give yourself a trail name. Why go for Indy 5?
Well, before I arrived on trail, I just thought it would be good to have something that explained myself in a name, and Indy, where I'm from, and then 5, I have 5 kids, and I've been married 35 years, and I just thought it was cute since Indianapolis 500, but just Indy 5. So 500 kind of denotes that I'm fast, but sometimes I tell people, no, it's more like Indy .005.
So you weren't that fast, but you were pretty fast. You're at your months of hiking. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I think you're about 6 months, weren't you?
Yeah, 6 months.
That's reasonable. I'm planning on 6.5 months myself. So
yeah, it's reasonable. I thought I'd be done in 5 months, though. I thought I'd be home by Labor Day, and I didn't get home till October 1st.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay.
Was it tougher than you thought it would be, by the way?
I thought it would be tough, but yeah, I thought it would be very tough, but it was very, very tough. I knew it was going to be hard, but it was really, really hard. Yeah.
Of course, it's meant to be, because if it wasn't, everybody could do it, wouldn't it?
Right, that makes it fun. Yeah.
And going back to the trail names for a second, you told me when we spoke before that you didn't think that you would be given a trail name. What made you think that?
Oh, I thought that I wouldn't be around people that much. for a long period of time, and that I just wouldn't get one. And I probably would have gotten one. I'm sure I would have gotten one. I just needed to be patient. But in the end, everyone just stuck with Indy 5. No one even tried to give me another name, so
That's
it
nice.
worked out.
Yeah, it worked for you. So it's funny how you identify people by their trail names, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So why on earth were you out there in the first place? Why did you want to do the Appalachian Trail? And I know you're in your mid-50s, I believe. So why did you want to do the Appalachian Trail?
Yeah, that's a big question. I tried to kind of think about that while I was out there, because in some reason it seemed, irrational to be gone for 6 months. And but it's just something I really wanted to do. It started like 10 years ago. I can't remember when I first heard about it, but even how I started listening to vlogs 10 years ago, but I can't pinpoint it. But somehow I got on to listening about vlogs. It was a time in my life where my kids were getting a little bit older and I had a little bit more time to hike and do things on my own. And also, I got a German Shepherd, which I really started going to city parks, state parks, and then thinking about national parks, and did some big hikes there. And it just kind of made me think about an even bigger hike, the AT, the biggest one I could think of. And I just decided when my fifth kid graduated from high school in 2024 that I would hike in 2025.
And this conversation you had in your own mind, I guess, originally, this was 10 years back, wasn't it?
Yes.
So when you made that statement 10 years ago, what was the reaction of your family and friends? Did they take you seriously? Because hell of a lot can change in 10 years, and I'm sure it has changed in 10 years. Why has this stuck with you so long?
So even I, when I first said it, just thought of it as a brainstorm, or just as a kind of it would be nice. It probably won't happen, but I'm gonna think about it and try to make it happen. But it's hard to leave your life for 6 months. I realized that.
Oh, yeah.
But I just hoped that it would happen, and back then, and just thought of it as a far off goal. And my family, they heard me listening to the vlogs, and so they knew, oh, she's listening to that again. They knew that I was pretty obsessed with it. So I think that it just kind of, I didn't just throw it at them in 2024. They had always known that this was a goal. And so it was kind of, subtle, and it got, more and more like it was going to happen.
But and this is the thing, but this makes me laugh about your story, by the way, because they saw you listen to the vlogs. I understand that, and then, but you've been a stay-at-home mum, you said, for 23 years, but your husband supported it. But when you went away, because you've done literally everything for your family, they didn't know how to use any of the machines. Is that right?
That's right. They didn't even know how to use the vacuum cleaner. And that's my fault.
Oh, no. Hang on. They did know how to use a vacuum cleaner. They must have known that you just press a button and it vacuums.
Well, that, I know it sounds like that, but we have a lot of area rugs and you have to adjust it. Only I can use the vacuum. No, I'm joking, but there's a lot. We have a lot of area rugs. You have to get it just the right length. But I know I'm kind of being silly, but they could have used it. I don't think they did though while I was gone.
My God.
I know they had a cleaning lady come in occasionally. And we have a German Shepherd. So we have a lot of hair in the kitchen. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So the word you used when you got back, your house had imploded. So how was that conversation with everybody? I mean, were you comfortable with that as a concept?
I knew that it was going to happen, so I wasn't surprised. I actually talked to a lady who was in the 100-mile wilderness. She had hiked as a thru-hiker a couple of years ago, and she was just coming back to do the 100-mile wilderness. And she told me the same thing happened to her, and she regretted going back and kind of getting mad. They were, kind of getting mad at them, and so I was trying to be nice, since I had been gone for a long time. But I did, let him know that I was, kind of surprised at how bad things got. But mostly I feel like I try to take her advice just to just I had the time to clean it, and I went ahead and just took care of it mostly and tried not to complain too much. Yeah.
Oh my God! I say you're some woman to be so charitable with the attitude there, because you've been back since October the 1st.
Yeah.
And I know that you said the place was imploded. I presume now it's November the 6th when we're recording. I presume now the place is in pretty good shape, is it?
Yes, I've been lucky to not have to go straight back to work and to have time on my hands. And have been able to trim all the bushes so we can see out the windows now, and pull all the weeds, and clean the house. And really, I don't mind doing those things. So,
That is,
yeah,
I'm sorry to go on about it, but
everything
really made me laugh. Really made me laugh.
Everything is back in order quite well now.
Right.
Yes.
And your friends and family gave you a surprise welcome home party, which is pretty cool. Tell us about that.
Yeah, really, really nice. I got home on Wednesday, October 1st, and then on Friday evening, my husband told me he was going to take me out. I thought we were just going to go out to dinner. He actually put a blindfold on me, so it kind of gave me an idea, maybe something, but I really didn't know what. And he just took me to one of my friends' homes, and they were all waiting there. And they're about 30 people, friends and family, just, were like, surprise, welcome home. And it was very, very nice. And then the host had some questions about the AT. She had people answer. And then she had me give it had people guess the answer. And then she had me give the answer. And so, I loved talking about it. It was a good segue to people asking questions, and it was a really fun evening. And I hugged everybody. I was really glad to see everyone, because it was a long time to be away.
And I suppose that when you went away, people were doubtful. Everybody's doubtful that their person they love or who's with them, is going to be able to finish this, because we know the odds are against. Did they become more impressed as time went on? And when you got back, they must have been massively impressed with you, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. One of my sons was like, "Mom, you've been gone long enough. Just come home after like a month or two." And I'm like, I have to finish. But I think they did realize. Maybe they didn't realize in the beginning how hard it was going to be, but I think they saw how hard it was. And because I kept a weekly Instagram that I sent out to people.
Nice.
And I think everyone was really, really impressed. So, yeah.
So 2025 was your year, but 2024 was the year you started putting your gear together. Did you need a year to get it all ready?
I think I could have used even more. That was like my very end deadline. So March of 2024, I was like, I've got to do this. And I felt very overwhelmed. So many different, it's like asking someone what car you should get. And everyone has a different idea. Same with gear.
Yeah.
And so I was getting ready to go on a Memorial Day weekend trip with my daughter and her husband. And we were just going to primitive camp. And it was supposed to be my shakedown with my new gear.
Yeah.
A week out, still didn't have it. So I just went to REI and I just made choices. I thought if I don't like it, I can return it. And I didn't return anything. Everything. I was lucky. I just went with it, and it worked. And I learned how to set up my tent and did a couple more shakedowns. And that's how I did it.
Did they in REI teach you how to set up the tent? Because you got a 2-person Big Agnes, that's right?
Yes, I did. No, they didn't. I was able to watch YouTube, and it's pretty easy. But I was a little bit intimidated at first, but it was pretty easy.
I was myself. I watched, when it first went in 2014, I had a top tent rainbow, and I watched the setup video at least 40 times. But that is totally different from when you're on the top of a mountain, having to put it up in front of other people around you that first night. What was it like? Did you put it up straight away?
Yes, I had it all figured out. I had put it up enough times that I was fine. I did, when I went on my shakedown hike, I was looking at my directions on which way to turn the valve for the sleeping pad. And they got a kick out of that I brought directions for that. I'm like, is it counterclockwise or which way to put the air in, But they were okay with that. But and I even tried to watch a video on how to put the tent, the Big Agnes, 2-wall tent up when it's raining. And I never did perfect that. So I still can't do that, but yeah.
I took about 1,500 miles, maybe 2,000 miles to get a flat spot. I was terrible at that, absolutely hopeless at it. And I don't think you realize how unflat some of the spots are on the Appalachian Trail, do you?
Oh, no, that's a huge thing. I mean, sometimes I would even lay down, on my just to try to tell if it was flat or not, but I got used to figuring it out, putting some, like sleeping on putting my sleeping bag. I don't know. I would just kind of figure that out, but it was very hard, but I've got very good at putting my tent up any place because I would stealth camp a lot.
Oh, yes, I know. We're going to talk about that in a minute, which is kind of odd, I must say. So people, before you started, people were taking you seriously, obviously. Was there a shift in attitudes as the time drew nearer, with concern for your safety? And did people start trying to talk you out of it at all?
Yeah, my mom was very afraid for me to go, and a lot of my friends and family were. Most everybody would be tell me how dangerous it was, and how they didn't think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, as time got on, they just kind of accepted that I was going to do this, and everyone seemed to be okay. There's no dissuading her. She's going to do this, and so yeah, I think they accepted it, and they were happy for me that I was doing what I wanted to do.
Now, we've often spoken on the podcast about the difference between solo hiking and hiking as part of a group. And there are decent arguments on both sides. There's reasons to be part of a group and there's reasons to be a solo hiker. But you were absolutely determined to go your own way, as it were. Why did you choose to go solo and stay that way?
Well, I would have been okay if I had a friend to go with me. I didn't, didn't have anybody that would think about going with me.
Yeah.
But once I got there, I thought, I might make a friend, or it might happen that someone was at my same pace and that I could go with. But although I made a lot of friends and talked to a lot of people, I didn't really ever meet someone who was at the same pace as me, at the same idea of when to stop and how much to go to hostels. So I did it on my own. And I think just having, had 5 kids and a husband, I was kind of interested in just going by myself and not having to make all the negotiations and compromises that you have to as a mom, so it was nice to just be able to do it at how I wanted to do it.
Yeah, when we spoke the other day, you said one of the great things about it, and I don't think you realised it before, but once you're out there, you've had that feeling of independence, and from what you said already, you've kind of lost some of that independence now. Did you enjoy those moments that you were by yourself?
Yeah, I really did. I mean, I missed my family quicker than I thought, like less than a month. But yeah, I really enjoyed being by myself, and like, of course, I wasn't totally by myself. There were other people around, but
Of course, yeah.
just being able to make my own decisions and, not having to, and I don't want to live my life entirely like that, but for a season, for 6 months, it was nice to be able
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, yeah. And you shared with me also that you're 50, mid-50s, 56, I think. How was your physical trail preparation? What did you do to get yourself in shape? Because, it's not easy. So what was it like?
I am pretty active. I take my dog a walk at least an hour every day, and then maybe 2 to 3 hours on the weekends. And I thought about I should probably be wearing my backpack and getting used to that, but
Yeah.
I never did. I never did that. I
Right.
just showed up in pretty good shape and in, extremely very excited and mentally, it was pretty easy in the beginning because I was just so excited to be there. Bring on the pain. I can do this. I'm going to do this. I know it's going to be painful, but I'm ready for it. But of course it was really, really hard. And before I left, I thought I would say, because I've done some day hikes, North Rim to South Rim of the Grand Canyon in one
Right.
day,
Nice.
and some
Yeah.
other hikes. And I was like, I like a painful hike, something where I have to really push myself. But yeah, after the AT, I thought I'm going to drop that from my vocabulary because some days, I didn't enjoy being pushed so hard and being in so much pain and all that. But for the most part, I arrived thinking, it's going to be hard, but I'm ready. I'm excited for the challenge of it being hard.
I'm
And
sure.
yeah,
And you
so
you hit Springer. I've just noticed from my notes, which I hadn't realised before, your dates were almost exactly the same as mine. You hit Springer on March the 24th, and my first hike was March the 22nd, but we both finished on September the 29th. So you did it
Wow.
2 days quicker than me.
Yeah.
So you said you found it difficult. Do you think that the preparation you've done was at least a good start for facing Georgia? Because it is so tough, isn't it?
Yeah, Georgia was definitely harder than I thought it would be, but I think I did. I think I did okay. I mean, I wrote down, I can remember in my Instagram, this is, it's agony, it's torture, it's brutal, but I still made it. And there was and I didn't get injured. So I think it was okay.
Were you still enjoying it though? Even though it was those three words, brutal, agonizing, and torturous.
No, it doesn't sound, I know it does. I expected that. So I think that helped. And I knew it would get better with me getting in better shape. And yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I still loved it.
And like me, you fell so many times. My listeners know that when I fell, first thing I would do to find out I wasn't dead, which was good. Then I found out I wasn't injured, and then I just shout out the number of the fall. And I did 46 falls first time, I think it was, and 44 falls second time. So did you start counting your falls, or did you do so many you lost count?
Wow. Yeah. I started, and when I started, I was going to count my falls, and I did start counting my falls, but I fell so many times that I just stopped counting. But yeah, when you fall, you're just like, oh, your first thought is like, okay, I'm still alive. Yeah. I'm okay. And then you get up on your feet and you're like, oh, okay. So I felt a lot, but I was very, very fortunate not to have gotten any bad injuries. One time my hip hurt for like 2 weeks after a fall, but I was still able to walk. And then one time I fell forward at the very end and kind of hurt my shoulder, but I had lots of bruises and little scrapes, but I was able to be okay.
Too.
Yeah.
I've got it in my notes. I'm not sure that's right though. You sprained your ankle in the Smokies, and it took 2 weeks to heal. That's a lot. And you just carried on walking through it?
That's right. I tried to, I walked through the guideline of a tent that I didn't see and sprained my ankle on the very first day in the Smoky Mountains National Park. So yeah, I was fortunate that it was tender, but it wasn't painful when I walked on it. But when I looked at it, it really scared me because it was so swollen, and a redness was like seeping up toward my knee over that time. So it was almost like as long as I didn't look at it, and it was okay. But I would soak it in the cold streams every night or in the afternoons. And I would worry about it a lot while I was walking, not thinking about anything else but my ankle sometimes. But luckily, I was able to keep walking on it, and it got better in about 2 weeks.
And and beat myself a lot, how did you cope with animal encounters? Or was that a bonus for you, as it is to many of us?
That was a bonus for me. I was a little bit afraid when I saw my first bear. About jumped out of my skin just because I didn't think I'd see a bear. Just because a lot of people have walked the AT and told me they've never saw a bear. So I thought I probably won't see one. But when I first saw one, I was really surprised that I saw one. But I just tapped my poles and it just ran off. So it was almost like seeing a deer. It wasn't scary. And then I saw about 8 bear, and none were aggressive, and I was able to tap my poles, or even we were at a shelter and 2 just lumbered a little ways off, but just lumbered by and didn't even notice us. So I enjoyed the animals. I saw some venomous snakes, but I was luckily able to walk around them.
Yeah, they're not nice. They're just they move too fast for me. You suddenly notice them. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, or I saw rat snakes, so they're trying to get away from me, and I'm trying to get away from them.
That's right. That's right. I think that's the mindset people need to go into the woods, is that they don't want any part of you. None of these animals want any part of you. They just want to get on with their lives, don't they? And you're in their land, right? And despite going solo, you obviously interacted with others, and for me, that is the best part of a hike. Did you make many friendships out there?
Yeah, I made a lot of friends. I have a lot of numbers and Instagrams to follow people. I did make a lot of friends. I loved seeing the people too. People ask, what's the best part of the hike? And it's just the unknown. You never know what's around the corner, what person, what animal, what view. And whenever I saw people, I always enjoyed talking to them, or even eating lunch with them, or spending time. Yeah.
But the thing that really surprised me most of all, actually, was that you rarely stayed actually at shelters. Within about half an hour of sunset, you would stop, get off trail, and set up camp. What about water? What about your own safety?
Well, I didn't, a lot of times you get to a shelter maybe at 5 o'clock, or it would be too early. I wouldn't want to stop at that time. I wanted to stop, right about dusk time. And so I would just stop wherever I was. Water, I always made sure I had water beforehand. So that wasn't a problem.
Right.
And I almost think it could be more safe staying at a stealth site than, I didn't have any problems, but, a lot of people were worried about it, but about, some creepy person. But I feel like if there was a creepy person looking for a single female hiker, they would look at the shelters or look at a campsite,
Right.
where something might be, that would be the scariest thing, to be at a shelter and someone comes in, with no other people there and just me and him, if he was scaring me. But a stealth site, they don't know where I'm going to be. They don't know.
So what'd you do? Did you get off trail and get out of sight of the trail?
Not exactly. I didn't. Sometimes a little bit, but I was usually pretty close to the trail. And I was in a 2-person tent, so I figured, if someone walked by, they'll think there's 2 people in there. But yeah.
And you took the same time as me, in fact, 2 days quicker than me. But your style of hiking was to get up early, which I never do. I get up early, but I never get out of camp, and then hike till sunset, which I also never did as well. Was that because you were quite slow, but you could do the long miles because you were hiking long hours?
I didn't get up real early. I would leave around 8 or 8:30.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, okay.
And then later in the hike, it would be more like 7, more in September when the sun's going down quicker. But, and I would just go, and I would take plenty of breaks. Like I said, if there were always like section hikers and day hikers that, often like to chat and hear about what I was doing. And I like to meet them too. And I would feel like I didn't have to go real fast because I have to be at this certain shelter at 5 o'clock or something like that. I just took if people, would say, I never knew where I was going that night. I'm just walking until, it gets to be sunset. And hopefully that's about 13 to 15 miles or 16. Usually it was. But I would take the opportunity to put my feet in the lake and cool them down if there was, or a creek, or, take a snack break whenever I wanted to. I'd eat dinner around 4 o'clock. And so when I go to my campsite, all I would need to do is and I think it was good not to have the smell, for any kind of animals, but
absolutely. Yeah. It sounds quite attractive in many ways. And I was wondering, that the first day is for most of us, it's from the top of Springer Mountain to it's either Gooch Gap or Hawk Mountain. I can't remember which the first shelter was. Did you go to the shelter that first night, or did you immediately start stealth camping?
No, I went to the shelter. I went to the second shelter that first night, I slept in the shelter with another guy, I remember. And then the second night, I also slept in a shelter. And one of my fears happened. It was infested with mice.
Right.
And a mouse ran through my hair. I have long hair, and I was right up by the edge, which you shouldn't be right by the wall because that's where they're at, know. And a mouse ran through my hair, and I kind of put my hand up and just like whacked it away. And I was like, oh my gosh. I sat up for like 20 minutes after that thinking, what am I going to do? I don't know. Oh my gosh. But I just moved further away from the wall and I went back to sleep. It was fine.
Nice. And this made me laugh when we spoke the other day. You told me that your husband came to visit you and pampered you. What did he do?
Yeah, he really pampered me. We went to the laundromat first. And while I was there, he just put my foot up on his knee and started rubbing my feet. I think all the people there were like, wow. They didn't know that I just watched the AT, but he did that. And we went to Chick-fil-A and had breakfast. We went to Walmart for resupply. We went to the Dairy Queen, ice cream, and I got a pedicure that day. So yeah, it was really nice.
Well, your man really knows how to treat a girl. Chick-fil-A, Dairy Queen, and Walmart.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. What else could I want?
When you're hiking, they're perfect things to do, aren't they?
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah. And you did this on quite a small budget, didn't you? How many nights a week would you stay on trail? Or in your tent? In your tent.
My tent. I would. You mean how often would I go to a hostel, or?
Really, yes.
I only stayed in a motel once. My mom paid for that. She said she'd pay for one motel. That was way up in Bethel, Maine.
Right.
But in the beginning, like I did stay at Green Dragon for 2 nights, and so that was kind of extravagant. But and I stayed in hostels. But when I stayed in hostels, especially when my money started to run out in into May, I would stay in I would always tent outside the hostel to try to
Wow.
save a little money that way.
Wow.
And I actually liked sleeping in my tent. It seems like being in the hostel, there's always someone snoring or making noise. I actually didn't mind. I was comfortable in my tent, so it was not a problem. I stayed in my tent as much as I could because I like to go to hostels, of course, because that was it. They, the shuttle, they
Sure.
often shuttle and then, take a shower and laundry and
Sure.
maybe a resupply. So I tried to tent as much as possible. And I didn't really go out to eat very much either. Pretty rare. I would just, go to Walmart or the grocery store and I would just, with my resupply, I'd get something to eat out of that too. So, yeah.
And you only took, I think it was 40 days, is that right? And you never slack packed.
I think it was actually 5. I forgot one, but yeah, I think
right.
I took. It was, I believe, 50 days, and I never slack packed. I never went southbound on the trail. I always went northbound the entire way, no slack packing. So it was just, I think that was kind of expensive, and you had to really plan for that, So.
Oh, sure. I'm sure. You can really rack up money. You can hemorrhage money in town. So, staying in your tent and being as thrifty as possible. And this isn't necessarily related to a small budget, but you went stoveless. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, that's something that's a little bit unusual about me anyway. I almost at home just eat trail food. So I have nuts and cheese. I can just have like pretzels and cheese for lunch or crackers and cheese or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, even when I'm not on the trail. So it's kind of unusual. So I figured that I wouldn't need the stove. But so that's very unusual though. But a lot of people are like, oh, you're going to want it. And so I thought, well, if I want it, it'll be easy to buy one. They're everywhere.
True. That's true. That's true.
I thought no big deal. I'm going to start off without one. And I found like a lot of people were like saying, oh, I'm not even using my stove anymore as the summer wore on and as time wore on. But of course, I met a lot of people too who said they couldn't do without their stove to make their coffee. And I don't drink coffees. I mean, I will drink it if it's available at a hostel, if it's just there, but I don't go out of my way to drink coffee.
Right.
So it's unusual. I'm unusual at home and on the trail as far as eating. Yeah. Yeah. So I made it easy though, because I can eat, I eat probably a lot of junk food, which wasn't good, but it satisfied me.
Have you worked out the overall cost of this trip yet?
Yeah, I did try to. I don't know that I've got it perfect, but I think with gear and everything, like 8,300. So still a lot.
Well, the gear was probably a couple of grand, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2,800, something like that. That's not exact. I don't have it exact.
So it's less than $1,000 a month, basically just under $1,000 a month to actually be out there.
Yeah, about, and that includes, staying at the Emmacola Lodge and then flying home.
Right. And I had
some trail angels, help me too. So
that always easy to pay the bit.
I was sort of like, should I include that? The cost that I incurred that someone else paid for in my, in my budget, in my figuring out how much it cost or not. But around just very generally 8,300 with gear and everything.
That is remarkably cheap. I've budgeted for more than that, but then I've got bigger appetites, I suspect. Yeah. So tell us now about attending the Woods Hole weekend in 2024. What got you there, and how helpful did you find it?
So I watched a lot of vlogs, and I had stumbled across Ramdino, and he is the one that had brought it up and talked about it. So I thought, that would be really fun to go down there for one, but also I felt a little bit like, tentative, like, oh, what am I doing? I don't know if I feel comfortable doing this or not, because I hadn't done, a lot of overnight backpacking. And so I just thought, I'll do it. And so, I went down there and had a great time, met a lot of really wonderful people, and of course loved the beauty of Woods Hole Hostel and all the scenery. And we took a little hike out to Dismal Falls and got to set my tent up again, and got some extra help or advice on putting my tent up, which was nice. And
did you learn something? Did you learn something there? Did you, about putting your tent up?
I just how to get it a little bit tighter.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. How to turn. Yeah. So that was good. And then we went to Dismal Falls and we did our water filter, and that was good to see that. And we just sat around and talked. It was very nice. Then we hiked to Woods Hole and had the good food there that Neville made for us.
Oh, yeah.
And did a lot of, Q&A about the trail. And what helped me the most, I believe, is when we went through the other hikers' backpacks and just gave suggestions. Oh, you don't need this, or you need that. Or, people be like, oh, I think you need that. I don't think you do. But, and it was very valuable. And it made me feel a lot more confident about what I was doing.
Did yours sort of pass muster? Do they say that's a pretty good pack you've got there, or?
Yeah, I only had about 3/4 of my things.
Oh, right.
Still, unfortunately, I didn't have it totally ready for them to look at and do a shakedown. But yeah, what I had, I think I needed more. It wasn't that I had items that I needed to get rid of. It was I just needed to keep going and get some more. Yeah, but yeah, it was a really good start.
So, despite being generally on your own, you did pair up with another woman for the 100-mile wilderness. How different did your hike become? Because you've been calling all your own shots prior to that. Did you find you had to compromise a little bit?
Yeah, it was different. Her husband was, she'd been with her husband the whole time, but he was out with a foot injury.
Right.
And so she, was, wanted to partner with me. And so I was like, okay, I really liked her a lot. But she's a lot faster than me. So I was kind of wondering why, and she knew, we knew she was. So I was kind of wondering why she would want to partner with me since she would be so much faster. So, but it worked. I really enjoyed being with her, and she pushed me. I think I got done a day early with the 100-mile wilderness being with her, and she's a lot of fun. So it worked out fine. Yeah.
I presume you shared your summit day with her then. Tell us what that was like.
Yep. Then we walked up to Mount Katahdin together. It was really nice to be with her. She walked down without me. She was so fast, but that was okay. So yeah, when we went up, we stayed at the Birches, and we were together in the shelter there with some other hikers, and we got up and made our way up, and it seemed pretty easy. Not easy, but really pretty and pretty nice. For a while. Then when you just start to make the climb,
yes,
the wind really hit us. It was really, really, it was about to blow me off the ledge. And I was like, oh my gosh, not as windy as Washington Summit when I was, but almost. It was very windy, but there were some other hikers there too, like day hikers besides she and I. But we made our way up and kept making our way. It was very, very windy, and it took longer than I thought to get to the summit, but we made our way up there, and it was awesome. I thought that I would cry. I kind of had some tears walking up there, but I was just really happy that I made it and to be done. It was a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous day.
Well, that always helps. It helps with your picture, if nothing else. Doesn't it? So how did you feel when you actually touched the sun? Was it relief? Were you kind of sad it was over? What did you feel?
I think at that time, relief. I was I'd been gone 6 months. It was a long time to be gone. And I was really ready to see my family and just have the comforts of home. So I think a lot of relief. It had taken a lot longer than I thought to get up there in the first place. And I was just, really, really, really happy.
So we be doing something like this again, or are you one and done? Do you think, is there another bucket list item in terms of hiking, or do you think you're just not going to do that again?
Well, so when I started this was like phase 3 of my life, like doing bold things and going on adventures. And this is just beginning. This is the start, but it's really hard to I don't think I can get away for 6 months like that. Like the bills are piling up at home. There's a lot of things that I need to save my money for to be able to get around our house. So it's really a dilemma.
But you know what, though? You know what, though? To be honest with you, to be brutally frank with you, just brutally and tortuously and agonizingly frank with you, you should give your family lessons on how to take care of themselves in the future. So you can do all these adventures, can't you?
I know. Well, that's not precluding me from doing it. I feel like it's the money that, it's hard to think about. spending
Yeah.
a lot of money again. So, but if I would, yeah, I can, yeah, help them do better on delegating if I want to be gone for a while. I don't think I'll be gone 6 months like that.
Never say never.
I know, never say never. Just making my timeline for this hike, just kind of, writing some things down that I wanted to makes me think, oh, I think I want to do that again. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I know. But I would love to. I mean, I'd love to just live in my car and drive around and live and go to state, national parks and,
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that. But I have, a lot
Well,
of
look,
responsibilities at home.
I think what you've done is pretty. I think anybody who finishes this hike is a pretty great thing to do, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. And I hope and I'm sure your family are totally proud of you. And yeah, thanks for coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was great.
I appreciate that. Take it easy, okay?
Okay, bye.
Cheers then. Bye. Just a bit of an FYI. If your wife, girlfriend, mother, daughter, whatever brand of female goes away, keep the place bloody clean. Men are such wusses sometimes, aren't we? I mean, don't know how to work the vacuum? Really? I'm not being cruel to her family, by the way, because Jennifer admits that she kind of enables them. Made me laugh, though. She comes across as a very competent woman for whom problem solving is clearly a normal part of a day, of everyday life. And I thought it was fascinating that she found an independence out there that contrasted with a certain lack of independence at home. That isn't a dig against anybody, but I know what she means about independence. It's an alluring state to be in, just needing to think about what you need, that moment, in that place. It may even be the loss of that feeling that contributes to what people perceive as their post-trail depression. I wonder what you think about that. Let me know. As always, thanks goes to our members, donors and supporters. This week, recurring monthly donors Natisha Webb and Ninka DeHaas stuck with us, as well as a generous donation from Nathan Emery, who wrote, "Thanks Mighty Blue for encouraging us all to get out in nature." Of course, Nathan, that's what this is all about. Also, we got a couple of new members on Buy Me a Coffee, with Todd Calm and Pat Jones joining us. Thanks to you new guys, and thanks to all our Buy Me a Coffee members. Now, my accountability blog. From what some of you have written to me this week, it seems like a welcome addition to the show, so thanks for all the encouragement. Here is this week's entry. This is where my accountability blog would normally start to hurt the second week. To be fair, I almost expected to have fallen off the training wagon, so to speak, but I can report on this second week as my 10th day on my training schedule that I haven't fallen off that wagon. Yeah, I'm as surprised as you are. I've got a few things to catch you up on this week. First, my training. As I say, I've pretty much kept up to date. Last time we spoke, I was only 3 days into it, but now I'm a week further on. And last Thursday and Friday, I followed the gym schedule given to me by my trainer, Luis. Thursday was for upper body strength with plenty of pull downs, chest presses, shoulder presses, triceps push downs and hammer curls to add into the mix. To be honest, I probably don't push quite as hard as Luis would push me when I'm on my own, but I'm trying to keep going here, so I pushed as hard as I think I could. Then on Friday, it was about core mobility and cardio. And I had one of those cable exercises where it's called a wood chop, where I use a kind of reverse golf swing, starting from the top and cutting across with the cable and rotating my torso. Then I went to the mobility room where I did a plank, which was tough, a bird dog, which basically was me on my hands and knees pushing out my right arm and my left leg simultaneously, followed by the left arm and my right leg. But the one that really killed me was the side plank, leaning on my right elbow and lifting my body off the ground just onto the tips of my feet. Well, that was tough. On each of these exercises, Luis has given me trainer tips, so keeping the spine neutral, engaging the glutes and abs and stacking the shoulders and hips, whatever that means. Then a bit of light cardio, and it's only about a 15-minute walk to finish up. Following day, I wasn't feeling too well, not as a result of the training, but as a result of some terrible allergy attacks I had. So I gave myself a break and took the day off. That evening, we had friends over and I had a couple of drinks, but I didn't overeat, and I'm trying to keep a record of all my food and keeping within 2,500 calories a day. On Sunday, I went for a 4-mile walk near my home and thoroughly enjoyed being outside again. This Monday, we started it all over again, and I've had another session with Luis where he made sure I was doing my exercises correctly and helped me with the app that the Crunch Fitness Gym uses to enable me to record my exercises. I feel pretty good right now. I'm going to stick to it. because the routine is what's important to me. And once I have that routine set, I'm not too bad at following it. This week, I've actually lost 5 pounds, maybe 6 pounds, and I can already feel the difference of those 5 or 6 pounds. When I speak to you about the gym side of things next week, I hope to be able to report that I've hit 10 pounds off. And I know that isn't sustainable on a weekly basis because I think I've got 16 weeks. So 5 pounds a week will be 80 pounds. I won't be doing that. However, if I can lose 20, maybe 25 pounds before I start, I'll start at 240 pounds or just under, and that will be a really good start, even though I know I'm going to be losing more on the trail. So that's the gym side of things. Now let's talk about gear. As you probably know, I lent Beth my tent to complete a hike this year. And when she sent it back to me, I set it up in my garden and it seemed okay to me. But this week on our monthly Zoom call for Buy Me a Coffee members, Beth said, laughingly, that you really need to buy a new tent. So I'm going to. As I mentioned several times here, I do love the Z-Packs, but I've started to look more closely at the Durston X-Dome 2. It seems to check all the boxes, especially being a double-walled tent. The condensation I was getting from my Z-Packs was quite bad at times, though I would imagine they've improved the airflow in later models. Consequently, I'll still be looking at the Z-Packs, but the Durston seems to check all my boxes right now. I've actually invited Dan Durston to come on the podcast and pitch me the tent, so you never know. My Dana gave me a voucher for REI for my birthday this year, so we went there the other day to spend it. And one of the first things I saw was the Sea to Summit Ultra Sil Day Pack, a 20-litre pack for those times that I may be slack packing on the trail, and all I need to carry is a bit of water, some rain gear and a few snacks. This thing packs down so small and so tightly, I think it would be a great addition to our pack. And it has a carabiner to fix on the outside of the pack, so that was a winner for me. And while I was in the Cedar Summit area, I thought about my old Cedar Summit pillow, which has been okay over the years, but it's getting old and it feels a bit rough. And I've washed it a few times and it makes a bit of a mess of the shape of it. But I decided to get another one, so I've got the Aeros Pillow Ultra Large. It should give me a more comfortable sleep. It seems to have these baffles at the side to create contours, and it will cradle my head. I'm looking forward to trying that one out, and once again, it's incredibly small. And a couple of weeks ago, actually a couple of months ago, I put my uncut toenails through my silk liner in my sleeping bag. What a nightmare. So I need a new one, and they have these really warm ones. This is a Reactor Extreme Liner, and it has what they call a thermal boost. And the boosts are warm, cosy, toasty, and blazing. And this one's toasty. It's a mummy bag with the drawer cord with the maximum user height of 78 inches. I appear to have shrunk over the last couple of years. I'm now only 73 inches, having been 75 inches before. So this works for me. And this is another of those things I'll probably use for the first 2 or 3 months within the sleeping bag, and then almost as a bag itself as the weather gets warmer. And I think it's a pretty good investment. As I say, it tends to give a thermal boost of 15%, which seems remarkable to me. And my sleeping bag is a 20-degree bag. I'm always very comfortable in it. The last new item I got was made by Packed Outdoors. It's a cat hole digger. With a neat little arrangement, you slide apart and you can dig with the revealed trowel down to 6 inches in depth, of course. And within the packed away trowel, there's space for these little tiny bathroom wipes, which you just add a bit of water to, and they all kind of open up and make a perfect wipe for the obvious reason. And when you chuck that down the cat hole, you add a few pellets to help break down everything, and you can keep those little pellets in this whole package as well. And I'm very impressed with how it all fitted together. I hope it works well, and I'd love to know if any of you have used one, so let me know. So that's where I am right now. I think I'm feeling pretty good about the week. As many of you know, I've been so lackadaisical to get going and prepare for any of my previous trials, but I keep reminding myself that I'm 73 and I need to be doing more than I've done in the past. But getting these new items reinforced my enthusiasm somewhat. There is something else on the gear I probably want to tell you about, but I can't tell you about it yet because it hasn't been confirmed. But as they say, watch this space. So that's a wrap. I'm on target and trying to keep pace with the exercises Lewis is giving me. I mean, I ache like an old man in the morning, but I always feel better for going to the gym. So something must be working. I'll see you all next week.